about to venture into the unknown. Won't you join me? Welcome into the dark. You thought I was kidding. It is actually pretty dark in here. I'm actually going to take you down to a place very far back into the shop here, where we do a lot of our humic reacting, and well, that's really all we do out of it, because that's what it's for. So back here in the back, very back, and it's going to take me a little while to get back there, I get a lot of questions about what it is, how we do it, what we're making, and, you know, kind of the process itself. So we do a very slow, long process on our humic. We bring in our lignardite shale from New Mexico. We react it here in the plant, and then we take a significant amount of time before we actually put it out to either use in our mixes or sell in the open market. So, and typically, we're going to be processing in big tanks, okay? And the process would start right here, all right? And we're gonna start it in this particular section. And we take the raw lignardite and we allow it to soak and hydrate, and then we begin the reaction process. Now, the first initial on this, we usually take a few days. We like to take at least 3 days of this particular section mixing and being used. After that 3 days is done, we then move it into another large tank here behind me, and then this one, it actually sits for another 3 days. How about that? Isn't that interesting? Another 3 days. Then the whole thing gets moved yet again into another one, and then it sits in this one for at least 3 days, and oftentimes this can go 3 to 5 days before it goes into the last one that is going to be over here, right beyond. This one is going to go for another length of time when this product is in. So once that happens is actually when we begin to separate out materials, and we will do what we would call the final settling and movement of these tanks, which goes into a whole nother series. And the longer that they get to sit, the better, the cleaner, the more acids we're actually able to put in. So, you know, by the time it hits tank number 5 here, we're doing it yet again, but now we've removed the solids. It's been filtered a number of times, and then it begins to jump into smaller tanks more often, okay? Jumping over into these, and tank after tank after tank until we get down to the final place. And this process itself can take 2 months before we actually bring things around and start using it. So that's how we're able to get the things down to as clean as everybody likes to see and as usable, and creates an awful lot of stability to come into the bases of some of our other products, like one that's becoming more and more popular here, the aerate, which we use an awful lot of humate for, just like our RGS, and then any of our other mixed materials as well. Here, as you can see, we're all about using humates in everything that we do because of how potent it is and how we're able to create that material in-house, and it works exceptionally well for every process that we have it doing. So that's sort of the quick version without giving away the entire process, but that is essentially what we're doing in here on a daily basis as far as the humic production goes, and then using that particular component into our fertilizers as well, and any of our other combo products. So that's pretty much that. The magic happens inside this space. Stays dirty, smells great. I love coming in here and playing around. It's a great little workspace to be able to do things, and that's it. Trying to get a couple of last minute things done here. Few things on the computer, but tonight we're heading over to the Oconee brewery, which is something I'm pretty excited about. It was an old, rundown building when we first moved to Georgia, and sort of in the last 5 years, the town has really done a lot to kind of rehab the place and bring some pretty cool things in. So there's a family, I believe, got the place. It was an old mill, brick. They've been working on this project for a few years. I hadn't gotten to go yet. It opened shortly after I was last in Georgia, which was, again, last May sometime. So hoping to share a little bit about that over there. Just another quaint little feature of our cute little Greensboro town. So that is what we're up to. And if you ever get to come and visit and we can do a walkthrough of the plant, I'm pretty certain that this is going to be a place. Now, I was reading about it a little while ago, and they had a thing, and this is a little off topic from the fertilizer conversation, but I enjoy it. They sent a beer into space. They call it the Stratus beer. It's kind of cool. It was put up on a weather balloon, 125,000 feet or something, and they sent a bunch of hops up with it too, and then they brewed the beer with the hops. So I'm also probably going to be sampling that deliciousness. So here comes the Oconee Brewery. What you looking at, Chad?
I'm looking at some beautiful Miracle-Gro.
What are you finding out?
There's really nothing in it. 111 for indoor plants and a 0.5 for blooming houseplants. It's all clear. Right there.
Yeah, let's see it.
A little bit of water.
That looks good. What do we got here? Feeds instantly. Feeds instantly is a good thing. Urea, ammonia, nitrate, 1% derived from urea, ammonium nitrate, and potassium phosphate. How much is this stuff? $4. $4 for 8 ounces. 50 cents an ounce. And, geez, you know, what does UAN go for these days? A few $100s a ton? That's amazing. One of my favorites. Fish fur, anyone? Smells delicious. Won't burn, unless of course it's really hot and you put it on. 3, 2, 3. Hey everybody, it's John. I'm back. And this guy, Mr. Chadley Peterson. Today he is glad Chad. Sometimes he is mad Chad. Sometimes he is sad Chad. But today he's glad Chad because he just planted a bunch of trees in his back that he's been putting off for 6 months.
Pretty close, yeah.
Pretty close. So, Mr. Chad here has, well, we known each other.
Oh wow, let me think. 7, 8 years?
More.
4. Yeah, we're pushing 10, aren't we?
No, more.
Seriously, that long?
Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun. I met Chad in 2006.
Okay. Yep.
2006. Maybe it was the fall of 2005
Yeah, in Nashville.
in Nashville. At a Tractor Supply pitch for another product.
Right.
And he and I stayed in marginal touch for a little while after that. This is when BioGreen was back in its infancy.
I didn't know anything about BioGreen at that time.
That's right. And let's see, 2007, 2007. Is that when you started yours?
Yeah, because I got the call.
Fall of 7.
Fall of 7.
Yeah, fall of 7.
And it was quite strange. I was downstairs with another business partner, and we were actually waiting on the phone, or waiting for somebody to give us a call, because we were going to be discussing buying a portion of a business that we later come to find out this gentleman didn't own anyway, so we would have been buying nothing, blue sky. But it was to the rights of the product that we were trying to pitch at the Tractor Supply Company. And got like an email from John that said, hey guys, what's up? And that was it. And it bugged me all night long, because I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? So the next day, I took the time from work and gave him a call, and we had, a couple-hour conversation, at least, about
well
what was
into
going
the
on.
night.
And came back and told my business partner about it at that time, and the next spring we were up and going. I think we were the third or fourth
Something like
BioGreen franchisee at that time, running the product with one product at that time.
Mm-hmm.
One product that John made by himself.
Yeah.
And we've since refined those products a little bit better and
Considerably.
And have more fun doing it.
Yeah, so that was sort of the first thing. Is back then is when Chad came on in Kearney, Nebraska, with his own spray service company. In 2009, I pitched him on becoming the chief mixologist for everything, and we moved our equipment out from Nevada to Nebraska because I like states that start with N and end in an A.
Yes.
Apparently. So everything moved out there in the winter of 9-10, and Chad was given the original mixes and what we were making at the time, and we started to function out of that place. And that was 9-10. So here we are in 2018. Wow. Yeah, I know. I'm getting old.
Yeah, it goes by so fast when things are moving together so well.
Mm-hmm. And, Chad's domain these days is inside of a very large space, either on top of mixing decks or running around filling containers for everybody who's out there. And even more so now these days, every time I have some sort of a wild-ass idea, I say, hey, I need you to go put something in a bucket and see how it sits for the next couple of days. And then we'll send it to somebody and try it out and see what's happening. So we do a lot of that kind of stuff, too.
Yeah.
A lot of failures.
Yeah, there's been some good ones.
Yeah, really fun. Some explosions.
Yeah.
Not, things that shouldn't have been.
Yeah, pipes that weren't sealed correctly. You get painted.
Body prints of outlines of people on the walls from where things explode. It's been a fun ride. That part's been pretty interesting.
It's been a great learning curve.
Yeah. So when it was. We're nine years.
Well, yeah, considering we went from a 3,600 square foot building to a 30,000 square foot building
in a short time.
Yeah, a very short time.
Yeah,
I was mixing at that time out of 2 500-gallon tanks. Still only mixing out of 2 1,000-gallon tanks. So
humble beginnings.
We're cranking away.
Yeah, that's true.
About ready to do some major upgrades this year, so that's going to be great. More product, faster times.
Mm-hmm.
We had a total of the one product. I think by the time we left Kearney, we had four
4 or 5. Yeah, I think so. For anybody who doesn't know, the very first initial thing that went out that I was running in my spray service in 7, 8, 9, kind of that time frame, was the 301 product that's still for sale, still used for tree and shrub mainly. But it was basically the workhorse mix. It did everything. I had a tank that sprayed trees. It was the same one that did lawns. There was no tank mixing. There was none of that stuff. It was just kind of a highly potent, really quickly remediating product. Now, the problem, and I will say this very, very easily, the problem with it was it worked really, really quickly in soil, but it was actually very hard to use. It was thick. Its componentry in the beginning was considerably more robust. It's been so much more refined into where it is now to be way better in the foliar uptake side of things, and able to work, in a more kind of consistent basis. But in the beginning, that was just it. It was focused so much on getting the soil to work fast, and then that would lead to green grass. And it was remarkable that even on a 5-step program at that time, in the heat, in the desert, under watering restrictions, you name it, that I was able to maintain green grass on that was less than a half a pound of nitrogen a year.
That's what we ran for the first 2 years. It was straight 301 for our clients. A handful of clients, but it worked. I mean, it was people that used it loved our service and actually loved the concept of the product, and that's really what kept them around and basically a lot of the clients back in Kearney were our guinea pigs. Mm-hmm. We'd come up with a new mix and go try it out and see how well it worked and see how well it bounced back over the winter months and through the seasons. So yeah, actually there were a lot of guinea pigs out there.
And that actually gave way to a lot of other things, where we really started to focus on this hybridized type program, because back then we started doing different blends with higher concentrations of nitrogen, different types. We were using a few different sources of N. Then we were finding where the balance was with the sort of the carbon content. And now this was prior to us ever making our own humic acid. We did not have the capacity to do that. We didn't have the space to do it. We were bringing it in from another location. We were working closely with the actual source, and then they were giving us the people that were giving us a good, clean product for us to use. And so we did componentry to build out what we now have. And that was kind of the best part about the learning curve on this, was how much. In the beginning, it was all about how much can we fit in a jug? Mm-hmm. How much more can we do? Can we do this? Can we do that? Will this balance with this? Can we do this? There was always a question leading into the next phase of development. And then it just kind of started to split apart. Now, where we are now compared to where we were then, I was so focused on getting everything into one jug that nothing else really mattered. It was all about, guys, you only need this one thing. You only need this one thing. After about 5 years of slamming my head into a wall trying to explain that you only needed this one thing, I finally said, you know what? Forget it. We're going to have a whole line of components. Mm-hmm. Let's just put the components out there. These guys want to mix it themselves. They can do it. So obviously we're making our own humate. Let's start selling humate. We developed the RGS and said, hey, while we have these components and these mixed products over here, let's just sell it to these guys so the granular market can use it and put it in their Z sprays. It was pretty simple. Since then, that product has gone through the roof. And, even when we get together and we sit and have a couple of these, we start to say, well, what if this and what if that? And even as of today, there's a couple of other concepts that we're going to be testing and putting out for tree and shrub type materials, which are pretty exciting. Where, after a decade of really tinkering and messing around with just between you and I now, we're looking at another level of sort of innovation. Just keeps moving.
Yeah. But the great thing is the base has always been the same, mm-hmm. Which was trying to get that, where is the base going to be, and then we can build upon that. And really, I always look way back to the beginning of the 301. That's the base.
That's right.
And everything else has been built upon and came from that mix.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this plant, tree, and shrub is going to be a fun one.
I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually can't wait to get there tomorrow and start sloshing some stuff together.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, we've just discovered a lot. What I think probably one of the most major things that I've seen in the plant in particular is that the longer we forget about something, almost the better it gets. Because there's jars and buckets and beakers and totes of just random Frankenstein stuff.
Yeah, and luckily sometimes I write on them, sometimes we don't.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you remember what this is?
And like,
no
nah,
idea.
just go put it out on the grass. It's fine. No, forget about it.
But at some point in time, what was in that became something you guys are probably using right now, or a form of it.
That's exactly right.
There's still some stuff that is sitting that we'll save for a later date.
Yeah, but it is exciting. I mean, the future right now is pretty wide open.
Well, yeah, and if we don't have the ideas bouncing off and saying, what if, can we do this? What if we take this with this and give you guys something that's not all in one jug, but well-rounded enough that you have a good concept and can run with it and know that it's going to work for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it starts, is here. Ideas, back to the base, and then build from that.
Pretty much. That's it. The concepts always stay the same. It's like we follow this model, we just build off of that model and just keep stacking logs on top of it. And that's kind of what's led to all of these different programs as well, is what we've discovered is if we create a foundational system and then every time we put something else in the next round, it builds on that last one and that one supports the next one. So it's stacking a program. It's like building the perfect sandwich.
Yeah.
And that's really where we've gotten to. And I wrote an article about that, products versus programs, where it's like, guys, it's not about one miracle product. It's never been about one miracle product. We get confused by that and misled by that because that's what everybody wants. They want that one shot, that one trick pony that they come in and just fix everything. There's no such thing. It's not there. The program has to be the magic piece, not the product. And it's ultimately those products that make the program. So, and I guess really you could call it products, you could call it nutrients, you could call it whatever you want to call it, but it's the whole system. The whole system has to work and it has to build throughout the season. That way you can keep plants functioning at their highest potential. The water percolation doing what it's supposed to do, the soil doing what it's supposed to do. And it's not about, I put out lime at this time just because that's what I've been told. I put out potash at this time just because that's what I've been told. There's a time and a place. And, we've been taught up to be scared to do certain things at certain times of the year. And, I'm here to say, don't be scared. Like, we can do things and we can spray liquid when it's over 100 degrees and not burn a lawn. It's never been a problem.
Did that plenty of times back home.
Yeah, it's never been a problem. You put the correct item, no big deal.
Add a little bit extra water.
Yeah, that's
Walk a little slower so you don't kill yourself.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah. But, hey, you got to get the clients done. You got to do it. So the one thing is, especially like with, just putting lime out because that's what I was told. Well, moving from Nebraska to here, temperatures are different. Soil types are different. I went from beautiful black soil to I can build lots of pottery.
Terracotta, baby.
Yeah, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
First thing I did was I planted fescue out in the back because I know how to grow fescue, or at least I thought I knew how to grow fescue. And then I just juiced it all the time. And my grass is green year-round, no problems. In fact, I've had some of the people ask if I've gotten my fungus yet, because fescue around here tends to get fungus because there's no breeze to keep it, the moisture off of it. So these hot, humid nights, you get fungus. I haven't had any fungus.
Yeah, I never really even thought about that.
No fungus.
No brown patch ever.
No brown patch, nothing.
That's right.
So, but I was starting in virgin soil. I didn't start with anything that was already contaminated. I started back in some virgin soil. So maybe that Maybe that was the key.
You have zero thatch back there. The grass just is connected to the ground.
Yeah,
and that's part of it
thatch.
too. It has the ability to dry itself out.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, that's really what we talk about most of the time.
2 years ago, we had a bad drought down here. I thought it was a drought, put it that way. Considering I can't get water back there to where I wanted to, and I just let it. If it burns up, it burns up. If it comes back, it comes back. I was surprised. I didn't have to reseed. I think we went 90 to 100 days with maybe a ½ inch of water.
It was a bad year.
And I didn't water anything in that clay, and that stuff just sucks the moisture out of everything. Everything was brown. I figured it was done. Once we got rains in the fall, it was green by winter. Very surprising. So don't be scared about using some of the stuff and relying upon the knowledge of what we've done throughout the years in the different regions and the different areas with the products to correct certain situations. If the problem is there, it's because it didn't happen overnight. So when I'd go in and talk to my clients, when I had lawn service company, they'd come in and they had all these weeds. Well, it's going to take me at least a season, maybe 2, to get this under control because this didn't happen overnight. So I can't change it in one application and do this. Unless we order a napalm strike. That's it. That's the only way we're going to do this. So the client understood that. So if you guys understand that some things out there are going to take more than one application, more than one season to correct. But over time, I tell you what, the soil I had back home in Nebraska, I could go to the neighbor's house and stick a shovel in the ground and get, 4 to 6 inches in. That was pretty easy. I could drive the shovel all the way down to where your foot touched in the ground. Not a problem. And I watered less than he did. It just worked. It just did what we said it was going to do. And actually what we thought it was going to do. That was the key. It did what we thought it was going to do, which then turned into, look at there.
Yeah, proof of concept. Proof of concept. And then, we took it into the agricultural side and had them run tests. And we pulled roots and looked at all that stuff. I mean, the development has been the what if question.
Yeah.
What if?
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, if we did that, then this should happen. And
Right.
so it was truly like going from curiosity to concept to proof of concept to then third-party recognition and then to market. I mean, really, that's how it's been. Now, there's things these days that I can say, well, just go put this out at whatever rate. It's fine because it's just this, it's whatever. But when we're bringing something new or we were trying to innovate, that's one of the reasons this company has taken its time to grow because we have the data. We have the years of doing stuff.
Yeah.
Let's just throw our program against anybody else's. Who doesn't matter. Throw it out there. We'll have a professor look at it. They say, yep, that performed amazingly well, and then that's it. And then I could show it to you guys, and it might not do one single thing for a sale. It ends up not making a difference. Most of the time, if anybody ever asked me if I had university trials, they were trying to think of a reason to not buy something. And I say, yeah, here you go. Like, shoot.
Yeah.
Well,
it was funny because in the beginning when we would have things tested, I'd take our samples of the product that we were making, send it in to get samples, and the one thing that he was a doctor, he would say, you guys don't have any FOS in your product. You guys really can't grow anything. What do you mean you can't grow anything if you don't have FOS? Stuff's been growing for years without FOS, but it's because it's there. It just needs to be unlocked. There's a lot of it there. It just needed to be unlocked. And that was one of the concepts we were looking at too, is it's already there. We just need to unlock it.
That's right. Let's just make it available. And we really did start to see that fast. And, this was a decade ago. A decade ago, not having FOS in a product was fairly unheard of.
Yeah. Minnesota
was FOS-free. There were a couple other places that were, but it was still fairly in its infancy. And anybody else who looked at it said, FOS, I need FOS, I need FOS. So now, FOS bans everywhere. FOS bans everywhere. And guess what? Grass is still growing.
Yeah.
Still growing. Still grows. It's green. It's healthy. I could look back on people who've been on our program for a decade and not have ever put an ounce of FOS on anything. Lawns are green as hell.
Yeah.
It's hell's green.
Could be.
Artificial turf.
That is some pretty hot grass in the summer.
It's hot grass. So there you go. There's a little bit of a story, a little trip down memory lane while we enjoy a Hoffer and a Pirate.
Pirate.
And just a lazy Sunday afternoon. I'm heading off to another stop. Next visit's going to be Tulsa, Oklahoma. So tonight is my night to fly out. Been kind of hanging out here in Georgia for a couple of days and getting things geared up for spring. So that's it.
Next chapter.
Next chapter.
Cheers.
2018.
Well, I am now leaving beautiful Madison, Georgia, on my way to the ATL, headed to Atlanta, 9:30 p.m. flight to Tulsa. This has been a pretty fun little trip. Just sticking on the road. Gonna go see what kind of trouble we can get into tomorrow. So you're gonna have to stay tuned to see what happens next week, because you're gonna just have to wait. So thank you so much for watching. Please direct any questions down in the comment section. You can also reach me through the Lawncology.com blog. I will be more than happy to answer any product related questions or programs or really anything you've got. Go ahead and shoot me one. So thank you so much, and I'll see you on the road.